very good afternoon, participants. Thank you for joining in today's open house on user ID request. I am Jwalant Gandhi from Data and Projects team. To conduct today's session and share the knowledge on caption topic, I have my colleagues with me, Bharat Gandhi and Sana Malik from Market Access Vertical of MSD Department. Why we thought to do this particular session is definitely time and again there were some members who kept raising their clarifications and they were seeking some more information related to user ID requests that they have been putting through member portal, which we have been provided to all the members since years that they become member from. So we thought, why not to just start covering the topic from the basic itself, because there would be some members every year who will be keep adding as a new NSC members. So today, while covering user ID request, we may start from the basics, which some of you might be knowing the details about, but please stay connected. Definitely, we will be covering all the important nuances for the caption topic. We have a dedicated Q&A at the end of the explanation that my colleagues and my friends are going to do over here. Keep posting your questions in the Q&A tab. We'll definitely cover it. One sincere request is please post your queries related to today's topic only and do not deviate to other topics because we might not be able to cover those questions today and it may eat up your and our time as well. So without further ado, if I may just, before starting with the explanation, I may just request Bharat and Sana, if at the very first, if you can just simply explain what does it mean by user ID, especially for the understanding of new members. Sana?
Yeah. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jalan. So, in simple terms, user ID is a unique number which is allotted by exchange to access your trading system. This user ID is generally a system generated number.
Okay. Is there any prior processing requirements before the new membership prospect gets the user ID allotted?
Absolutely. So, we'll move on to the next slide and I'll let you know about some prerequisites for trading. The first step is first and foremost, you have to get oneself registered and enabled in the required segment. Upon registration, a member is allotted a unique 5-digit code, which is known as TM code. Another basic prerequisite is to connect to exchange trading system via POP-based lease line connectivity or avail NSE's co-location facility. Basically, you're co-locating your non-need front-end infrastructure at NSE premise itself. Or member may also opt to avail services provided by application service providers who offer web-based platform trading. And yeah, that's it. So those are the basic prerequisites.
Okay, thank you for sharing those prerequisites. So members, these are the requirements that priorly you'll have to fulfill to get the user IDs allotted to you or your membership code. You have just mentioned here, Sana, that non-need front end, NNF is mentioned under trading front end. What does it mean
Yeah,
by NNF? And if you can briefly explain the difference between need plus and NNF, which you have mentioned over screen.
sure. So exchange provides you a trading front end which is neat. Okay. However, if the member wants to customize their trading front end according to their requirements, NSE offers a facility to the members by which they can use their own trading front end software in order to trade on NSE trading system. So this facility is referred to as non-need front end, and it is available to all the members of the exchange.
Okay. Another thing which just drew my attention is you have mentioned about the login credentials. So are there any default credentials for the segments they are getting enabled for? And if yes, then what are the credentials they need to keep in mind while doing the first time login?
Okay. So once a member is enabled for the very first time, they are given user ID, two user IDs. One is corporate manager and a dealer ID. And along with that, they are given login credentials for the corporate manager with default password, which is for each segment to log into the need system for the first time. And members can then additionally apply for user IDs as per their business requirements.
Okay. So now you have just mentioned about the prerequisites for the user ID allotment and all. Definitely, there are types of user IDs also where these terminals can be allotted. Other informations are to be mentioned, and there are certain key facets attached to it also. So if you can just take us through that as well.
Sure. So basically, there are three types of user IDs. The first in the hierarchy itself is your corporate manager. It is the first user ID which is allotted to the trading member, and it is called as corporate manager ID. It is at the highest level, and it has control over all the branch managers and the users of the trading member. The next is the branch manager. The first user ID which is allotted on an additional connectivity of the member is called branch manager. It has control over all the dealers belonging to his own branch, and the remaining IDs are known as dealers and traders. Now, as you can see here on the screen, members can definitely apply for multiple connectivity as per their business requirement, and 50 user IDs are permitted per box ID allocated for each segment. Default message rate, as we all know, for commodity is 120 messages and 50 user IDs. Now, another important point which everyone has to remember is when they are applying for user ID or they are reporting, there is a type known as office type for which is office types is where your terminals are located, can be located. So it can be registered office, it can be main office, branch office, or an approved authorized person's office. Accordingly, you have to report the relationship of the proposed users for which you're applying. So in for registered office, main office and branch office, as you can see in the slide, relationship would be employee, a director, partner or proprietor. And similarly for approved authorized person's office, the relationship is approved authorized person and employee of the approved authorized person.
Okay, so just to reiterate, in the table for the serial number 1, 2, and 3, which is registered, main, and branch office, the relationship can be either of employee or director, partner, proprietor. Is that correct understanding?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, you just mentioned about the corporate manager and branch manager as well. So, can member place orders from their respective terminals, which are corporate and branch manager? Can they put in orders? I mean, it was
Yes.
okay. Yeah, and
Yes.
another thing, probably just I wanted to ask is on behalf of members is what are the other features or facilities available through corporate and branch manager terminals as well?
Okay, sure. So both corporate manager and branch managers can place orders. Now, a corporate manager is the highest level in the trading firm. It operates at the member level and has centralized control over all the trading operations. What can the corporate manager do? What are the facilities available to him? He is allowed to place orders. He has an authority to allocate reset trading limits of self, different branches, branch managers, and the dealers. They can view the orders, trades of other branches as well, and they can modify, cancel orders, trades of the other branch managers and dealers. Not only that, they can reset password and unlock user IDs of the branch managers and dealers. Whereas when you come to branch manager, they can trade only within the branch allocated limits. They can monitor dealers of their own branch. They cannot view or they do not have any control over other branches, and they can definitely not override the limits set by the corporate manager. They can view the orders positions mapped under branch managers. I hope that clarifies
Okay.
the difference between corporate and branch.
Sure. We also hope that members also got the clarity. But at the same time, right now, members also can see over screen the comparison or the differences between three types of trading terminals was NEAT, NNF, and non-NEAT. So if you can just try to explain more about those things as well.
Sure. So here, the types of trading terminals, we have divided the criteria into NEAT, NEAT converted to NNF, and non-NEAT. Whether certificate is required for NEAT? Yes. Whether it is required for NEAT converted to NNF? Again, yes. For non-NEAT, there is no certificate requirement. Non-NEAT is basically only a dealer. Okay, and user type allowed for NEAT and non-NEAT can be corporate manager, a branch manager, or a dealer. These NEAT and not NEAT converted NNF IDs can log in NEAT and NEAT plus. Accordingly, order placement is allowed only through NEAT. And in case of NEAT converted NNF, order placement is allowed through 12-digit terminals and through NEAT in case of contingency. However, for non-NEAT, order placement is allowed only through 12-digit terminals. Now, whether you can convert them to NNF and non-NEAT, that's another question. Okay, so for NEAT, conversion is permissible. For NNF ID, again conversion is permissible. However, non-need cannot be converted. I hope that is clear.
Okay. Okay. Now, one thing just, I mean, if you want to clarify again, so very first thing you have mentioned is certification requirement is there for NEET, NNF and non-NEET or not. So certificate definitely will be for the respective segment they are applying for, right? So if you want to just elaborate again on that, that would be more helpful.
Yeah, so Joel and Bharat here. So for non-need specifically, when we are talking about certificate is not required, but certificate is required for all the 12-digit terminals which are reported under the non-need ID. So let's just say in FNO segment, it is mentioned that it is NISM derivatives module certification is required. Then for all dealers who are trading on the exchange platform, they need to have a requisite certification. For capital market segment, the certification requirement is for the corporate manager and branch manager terminals. Dealer need not have a certificate. Member provides, it's okay. If not, that is fine. But that is for capital market segment. But for all the derivatives market, be it FNO, commodities, currency, all these segments require to have a certification because that is mandated by SEBI. So all
Great. I
12-digit dealer
guess.
terminals reported still need to have certificate.
Sure, sure. I guess that clarity would help more to members. Now, definitely this comparative table also that you have explained surely will be more helpful. You just mentioned in the screen that 12-digit terminal, a word you use. What does it mean, and do members need to report it? And if they need to report it, if you can explain the key nuances surrounding it.
Yeah, so I'll just move on to the next slide.
Okay, so here you can see details about reporting of 12-digit terminals. And before doing that, trading through NNF requires prior registration with exchange, as we all are aware about. Member can customize their trading front end according to the requirements by developing their NNF. Before order placement, a 12-digit terminal is to be reported to the exchange, irrespective of the purpose, whether it is trading, testing, admin, or view. Okay, and what are the different types of product and the reporting therein? CTCL, IBT, DMA, and STWT. So for CTCL, the first 6 digit would be your PIN code, the next three would be your branch ID, and the next 3 digit again would be your terminal ID. Accordingly, for IBT, DMA, and STWT, it would be 12 times 1, 12 times 2, 12 times 3. And as you're aware, with the recent development, we have introduced the product API for which the reporting is 12 times 4.
Okay, so the 12 times 4, which is the API product, is the recent development which probably some members might not be aware. So they need to keep in mind that this is the new 12-digit format that we have introduced with the new API thing coming in. Is that correct understanding?
Correct.
Okay. Now, before we just move ahead, I again want to request members, in case they are having any query related to today's topic, they can use the Q&A tab to post their questions. At end of the explanation, we will be covering those relevant questions, and we'll try to address as much as possible in terms of our answers and explanation. Now, moving ahead, Sana, you just mentioned that the member is required to report 12-digit before order placement. Is there any timeline by which they need to report in order to place order through the reported terminal? So, first thing is related to timeline clarification, and also if you can guide on the path through which they need to report these 12-digit terminals.
So basically, a trading member can carry out their order activity on the same day, subsequent to their upload of all the terminals, CTCL, IBT, DMA, or STWT. And the 12-digit terminal ID will be activated from the date mentioned in the CTCL activation request.
Okay, so date is an important field they need to keep in mind, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
7.
So, Jwalant, as a facilitation, what we do is members can report activation and deactivation requests 7 days in advance. So we give
Okay.
them a week's time to report. So let us say a terminals want to get activated next Friday or Thursday. He can give a reporting 7 days in advance with the date of
Great.
activation of next Thursday.
Great. I guess that was the additional important information which member needs to keep in mind. Now, in my opinion, another important aspect for members under 12-digit terminals is tagging of algo or non-algo for a user ID. So if you can please share the key facets on it as well.
Surely. Yeah. This is one of the most talked about or spoken about, asked about questions with respect to reporting of terminals. Members at the time of reporting 12-digit terminals are required to tag a terminal where what is going to be the use of that terminal. Is it going to be used to route algo orders or algo and manual orders both? Accordingly, they are required to report that terminal as such. So if a terminal is going to be used only to route algo orders, then such terminals may be tagged as algo and reported on init. If a terminal is going to be used to route algo as well as manual orders, then such terminals can be tagged as non-algo and reported to the exchange. One major difference here is basically uh, why such terminal tagging has been provided here is in many members have algo systems where they require more than the dealers would require more than one terminal. Maybe there are multiple types of front ends, multiple vendors running algos likewise. So this facility was brought out about 7 8 years back for members wherein let's just say Bharat Gandhi has a algo terminal and he is operating multiple systems. He would require multiple 12-digit IDs. Accordingly, they can be tagged as algo, and Bharat Gandhi as a user can have multiple terminals for running algos. But as soon as we say that, okay, Bharat Gandhi is going to do manual trading as well, at that point of time, he is not allowed to have more than one trading terminal. He can have only one terminal, and it has to be tagged as non-algo, which can route algo as well as manual orders, as mentioned in the slide. Now, here I would like to just elaborate further on this. When I say that Bharat Gandhi can have multiple terminals, then members need to ensure it is Bharat Gandhi who is operating those terminals and it is not being operated by anybody else. It is to be operated in the by the individual in whose name the terminal has been reported to the exchange. Because when on-site inspection happens or regulatory team conducts queries, basically, if they find any terminal being accessed by unregistered intermediary, they would take the disciplinary action accordingly, including levy of fines, penalties, and so on. So members need to ensure if the terminal has been allotted to Mr. X, it is Mr. X who is accessing the terminal and no one else.
Great. I guess this was very crucial information that Bharat you explained in clear manner, and members also need to be very mindful when they are going to tag with algo or non-algo, as you rightly explained. They need to be very mindful about it. Now, when we were just discussing about 12-digit reporting, Sana and Bharat, there may be possibility of mistake from members' side while reporting them. Is there any mechanism where NSC tries to facilitate members or in notifying about any mismatch observed? And if there is, where do members get these notifications?
That's a good question, Jwalan, and it's a very simple answer as well. In order to facilitate members with mismatch details, a provisional CTCL mismatch file is provided on daily basis in capital market, future option, and currency derivative segment to enable them to take any corrective action and avoid penalty charges by reporting. Now, this report is available in init new trade compliance post trade, and there you will find provisional CTCL mismatch report. For commodity, provisional mismatches are not generated, and only final CTCL mismatch file is generated. And that is post-market as of commodity segment.
Okay, so this is again important point for commodity segment. You just mentioned that provisional mismatches are not generated. Direct final mismatches will be provided to members over init member portal. For other three segments, which is CM, FO, and CD, provisional as well as final, both mismatches are generated and provided over the member portal.
Right.
Okay, now you mentioned that the final mismatch report is, screen also, they can read that it is generated by midnight, the final report. So, any tentative timeline of provisional report generation and also any timeline by which members need to make corrective action? Because you mentioned that after they receive the provisional one, they have some time to have the corrective action so that they can rectify it.
Yes, absolutely. Member can check provisional mismatch reports around 6:30 p.m. at the path specified. And while doing this, member can report the 12-digit terminal for provisional for which the provisional mismatch is generated. We would advise members to keep the same date of activation to avoid any final mismatch.
So if let's just say the provisional mismatch has been generated for today and they are reporting the 12-digit terminal for which mismatch has been generated, the date of activation needs to kept of today.
Okay, great. And I believe this notification or the generation that we provide, definitely it is for members, just facilitation from our side. At the same time, should we just caution members that they also need to be very mindful while reporting originally itself?
Yes, with Jolan, it is members' responsibility to report the terminals well in advance, as we discussed in the earlier slides. Terminals are required to be reported prior to order placement. This is just a facilitation where we are giving them an opportunity to rectify any wrong reporting or unintentionally if they have missed reporting a terminal, particular terminal. So this is just a facilitation. So members need to take care of that.
Okay. Now, moving ahead, earlier you explained that user ID is unique number allotted to a terminal. Does that mean that member cannot use the particular user ID for logging in and trading through other IP of the same member itself? And what if default mapped ID causes some issue and member needs to access via other IP for the specific user?
Sure, Jalan. Let me explain to you various redundancy options which are offered by Exchange. Exchange provides a facility for multi-locking of their user IDs with an additional connectivity available at the same location. However, for non-neat users, member can do the multi-locking across cities. In case primary connectivity is down, like you asked, member can then definitely log in from the multi-locked IP. So that is the first redundancy option which we provide. And you can see the example here. So user ID is mapped to the primary IP. In case the primary IP is down, if it is multi-log to secondary, tertiary, as well as the quadruple IP. In case if the primary IP is down, of course he can log in through the remaining IPs. And the second redundancy option which we provide is redundancy can be created by ULC mapping of NNF IDs. Now, multiple 12-digit NNF terminals can be mapped across multiple connectivity. It is done by mapping 12-digit NNF terminals with alternate neat user IDs at the same location. And again, for non-neat, it can be across cities.
So just to simplify, Jwalant, here, what we are trying to say is, let's just say your CTCL server goes down and 12-digit
Mhm.
terminals are associated with that server. It is not that the 12-digit would remain idle, right? The dealers would not be idle. So herein we are giving an opportunity for member to do a ULC mapping, report it to the exchange and say that those 12-digit terminals, like in this post mapping scenario, says, okay, the first IDs were mapped with 1234, but they can now route those orders through the server which is configured on 5678. So that routing is possible and mismatches will not be generated in this case. So you need to again understand it is not a different dealer, it is the same dealer, only the server level rerouting is happening.
Okay, so is it good to say that members need to gauge their particular requirement in such kind of scenario and accordingly have prior mapping or redundancy options evaluated priorly itself? Is it good to say
There are
that?
good number of members who have built these mechanisms to handle redundancies in terms of server level at their end. So this is a facility available since more than 15 years by the exchange, made available by the exchange. So members need to develop and use if they want to use this facility.
Understood. Now, over screen here, members can also read two words, which is shifting and disablement of user ID. So, can we briefly explain the operational formalities involved for shifting and disablement of user IDs?
So basically, shifting of user ID in simple terms, it means you are shifting your existing user ID from one connectivity to another connectivity. Now, upon member have to keep this in mind, all the members have to keep this in mind that on shifting of user ID, your existing multi-log, your limits and proprietary rights if present on that particular user gets removed,
Including ULC mapping.
including ULC mapping. And the same thing happens for a user ID which is enabled on SLBM as well. So if your user ID which is enabled for SLBM is being shifted, then members will have to mark a mail to our help desk, which is msm@nsc.co.in, granting necessary rights to access SLBM on the destination IP on which they have shifted. And talking about disablement, yes, members can place request for disablement of neat user ID and non-neat ID through WinNet, and the ULC gets revoked in that case itself also.
Okay. Now, sometime back, we just explained about corporate and branch managers. what if a member wants to convert such existing users? And additionally, if we can explain on important factors involved if member wants to surrender any user ID, because right now we just mentioned about the shifting and disablement. So additionally, surrender of the user ID also, if you can try to explain upon.
So, corporate manager and branch manager. So, when we spoke about functionalities here, so corporate manager is the highest hierarchy. Branch manager is the, if you are taking a new connectivity, you get a branch manager there, right? So, and dealers are associated under it. The 12 digit are then associated under the dealer ID. So, when you're looking at a disablement, it needs to follow a reverse flow. Means first the dealers need to be disabled or mapped to some other branch manager, and then only the branch manager can be disabled. In case of disablement of a corporate manager, basically if all user IDs are disabled, only then the corporate manager is disabled. That is the way it works. So the facilities need to be closed, then only the hierarchy can be closed. That is how it is. So
Okay,
in
and
case there
is
are
it good to?
ID,
Yeah, sorry, please go ahead.
so in case there are IDs mapped on the branch manager, then the branch manager cannot be disabled, right? If there are NNF IDs under the branch manager, so that is the
So
rule.
I was about to ask on that part only. So by
Mm.
mistake, in case any member puts disablement request for such IDs where there are subordinate IDs, then whether that request will get rejected or what will happen?
So those kind of requests will get rejected. Uh, so here we have a separate facility also if you're talking about corporate manager and branch manager. So this is somewhere around 3 years back we had rolled out that functionality, 2.5 years back, where if members want to have corporate manager, branch manager functionality on their NNF API application, they can apply for that. But however, non-need user type is not permitted for corporate manager, branch manager user IDs. They can only be named user IDs, which can be marked for conversion. And they can be mapped only on non-colo. So corporate manager and branch manager can only be on a non-colo primary IP. They cannot be on a colo IP
or data center for
or
that.
a data center IP.
Okay. Uh, now, see, just a while back again, we explained about respective certification requirement for respective terminal case, right? What happens if certification which was reported for a terminal gets expired?
Okay, Jwalan. So trading members are required to keep track of the validity of their certificates. And 1 month before the expiry of the validity of the certificate, they are supposed to appear and clear the examination afresh and submit a fresh certificate to the exchange on or before the expiry of that of the old certificate. Failure to do so will result in deactivation of that ID.
So as an exchange, we do facilitate, means we start sending out intimations about 3 months prior to an expiry of a certificate. So they get letters in their FTP folders. They need to check those letters and take remedial action. However, this is something which we are doing as a facilitation. Members are required to keep a track of their certificate validity. And till the last day, if the certificate is not renewed and updated with the exchange, such terminals are marked for disablement and accordingly disabled.
Okay. And when you were mentioning about the deactivation of terminal in such scenario, apart from deactivation, any other disciplinary action or monetary penalty which is involved here?
So, we being the business team, we would not have details on the penalties and likewise. So, it is the inspection and regulatory teams who review these user terminals which you have reported. They would do an on-site inspection, call for data from members, and so on and so forth. And accordingly, if they find any deviations from the prescribed guidelines of usage of trading terminals, they would accordingly based on the severity, they would either look at uh, just a letter or a penalty or any other disciplinary action as deemed fit by the respective department, regulatory department.
Also involved Yeah, sorry, I got a minor hitch in my connection. So what I was mentioning is definitely, Bharat, as you were rightly mentioning, because there are other teams also involved for such kind of case-to-case investigation or explanation. It is better for members to be very much cautious beforehand only. And as you were mentioning, we are also trying to facilitate by providing cases where certificates are getting expired. That can be a very handy thing for members to keep referring, right, on ongoing basis, so that they don't come up with such kind of a scenario where they are in such kind of troubled case.
Yeah.
Understood. Now
One,
here,
yeah, Jolin, just
yeah, sorry.
just for apologies to interrupt. So one just a point I want to make here is basically 12-digit terminal reporting is in control of the member. However, need terminals if they are deactivated because of requirement of certificate which has not been updated. Now, member would then be required to make a fresh application for user IDs, and accordingly, exchange would take at least a day to create a terminal. So if it is deactivated by the exchange and member reapplies, there is going to be a SLA or time involved till such time that terminal will be unusable. So on inoperable. So members will need to take care of this so that their trading is not hampered or disrupted because of this.
Okay. Thanks. Understood that. But here I could just recall couple of scenarios related to the certification expiry and renewal. Now there can be possibility number one where certificate has yet not expired and member wants to priorly upload with the renewed certificate that the same user is having. That can be scenario number one. Scenario number one can be that member wants to replace that certificate with some other user's certificate. Still, the existing is not expired. And scenario number three can be the certificate is expired, terminal is deactivated. Can there be any remedial action to upload with the fresh certificate? So, your comments on all these three scenarios?
So for scenario one, basically we have for need terminals, basically there's an option provided user ID validity update. Let's just say Bharat certificate is about to expire. Bharat has reappeared for the exam. Fresh certificate is available. You can just go ahead and update the certificate under user ID validity updation for need terminals. Uh, if let's just say from Bharat, the terminal needs to be now because Bharat certificate is about to expire. Sana has a valid certificate. He wants to change the name from Bharat to Sana. He can do so by giving a username change request. That is scenario two. However, as said earlier, then Bharat should no longer be operating that terminal from effective date, and Sana should be the one operating that terminal, particular terminal. Right. With respect to
Third scenario.
third scenario wherein you told about terminal once deactivated in case of need terminal, as I said, yeah, member will need to give a revised request for the terminal, which will be processed as per SLA, and it would take at least one working day for us to process that request and give need user ID back to a member. In all the three cases, basically scenarios, what you mentioned, the 12-digit reporting control is with the member. So in case one, two, or one and two, member can use a module, what we call the CTCL modification module, wherein they can upload the revised CTCL details, the certification details, and the dealer details if required for the same 12-digit terminal. Or if a 12-digit has been deactivated, in scenario three, they can place a CTCL ID activation request with the date of activation, and which is in control of the member.
Great. Thank you, Bharat. Now, see, related to user ID request, definitely right now also we try to explain at length. Members have been doing this particular operational exercise time and again. But is there any consolidation details or FAQs published by us, which member can refer anytime they want, which can be handy to them as well?
Yes, Jwalant, absolutely. Please refer the slide. There is a consolidated circular on matters related to user ID. And of course, there are FAQs published on the website. And recently, Exchange had conducted a separate open house session for common rejection reasons. So this path can be deferred for that as well.
So So consolidated circular, if you're talking about, this is all the circulars consolidated till April 25. We keep on introducing facilities or there are changes in the existing facilities. So member needs to keep track of the circular issued thereafter. FAQs are updated again, time and again, with respect to whatever changes have happened. Common rejection reasons, there was a ask from members that, okay, there are multiple rejections happening or I need to give multiple requests for the same thing which I want to do. So as a facilitation, we have done two things this year, basically. So in the consolidated circular, we have given out an annexure wherein we have listed down most common reasons for rejection. That is also available to them in case they are not able to access the video. And we also conducted a similar webinar in the month of June, which is the video for which is available on the YouTube channel of NSE.
So
So
just
that
to
is available.
extend to that, as Bharat was mentioning about this particular session's video, so by far most of the members must be aware that all the open house webinars that we keep on doing, we keep uploading on NSC's YouTube channel. There is a playlist called Open House Webinars, under which this common rejection reasons session will also be available for you to refer anytime, along with the other videos also. And don't worry, this particular session's recorded video also will be uploaded in a couple of days from now. So you can keep referring to those videos whenever required. Yeah, Bharat, you was just saying something.
No, no, that's the thing.
Okay, I guess so far we have received only couple of questions only. I would again request members to keep posting in case they are having any queries. By the time we just try to address a couple of questions which is received. So, very first question, Bharat, I'm not too sure how detailed you will be able to address this, but Mr. Kumar Goradia is asking, can you shed light on the term box ID?
So, okay, so this is more in terms of connectivity. So we may
Yes.
schedule a different session in terms of connectivity. But just to give a preliminary view on this, so when members are connecting to the exchange, they subscribe for a connectivity of a particular message rate capacity. So let's just say 40 messages per second, or 100 message per second, or 1000 message per second. We have various types of scenarios, basically we call them. Now, when members are subscribing to it, so let's just say he subscribed for 1,000 message per second link, and he is there in capital and FNO. Member has a choice to divide these messages across segments of how many he wants. So let's just say 400 he wants in CM and 600 he wants in FNO. So for
Mhm.
that purpose, we assign a box ID. The messages are monitored at a box ID level. So when, let's just say, box ID for CM is going to be different, box ID for FNO is going to be different. That's a numerical number. When they are signing on to the trading application, that box ID is supposed to be sent. And then we monitor the messages which are coming from that box ID. So if it breaches a particular threshold, which is required, then the member is disconnected.
So, Mr. Goredia, we hope that though we could not directly answer this question, which is not related to today's topic, but it must have explained to you. Still, in case members are having queries related to connectivity related topics, we'll be happy to do a session on that. And we can cover similar aspects related to connectivity in that session. Moving to next question, can multiple, I guess you have covered during the explanation, but still, if you want to clarify, can multiple Algo user IDs be created on single PAN and certification? This question is with reference to NSE FAQs issued in May 2025.
Mm, May 2025, I would need to check which FAQs are being referred here. But as we
Mhm.
covered in the presentation, Bharat Gandhi can have multiple terminals only for the purpose of algo trading. So 12 digit can be reported, but those who need to be tagged as algo and should be used only for purpose of algo trading.
Okay. Next question is alert of multiple order placed in 1 second. Please share details on the same. I believe it's not
Jwalan,
much
that
clear.
is mostly pertaining to surveillance. There is order
Correct.
to trade and all those monitoring which is being done by surveillance. So that would need to be taken separately.
Correct, correct. So we would request the member because he has not shared the name. So you can just write to our surveillance team and whatever possible explanation they would be able to give, they can give over email. So please email them with your query. Next question is, can terminal ID 12 times 4 be reported under non-algo user ID? If yes, how can it be done?
12 times 4 is for the purpose of API, which has been recently introduced, and all API orders are required to be tagged as algo. So that's a regulatory requirement coming in, so it cannot be a non-algo ID. It has to be done as algo.
Okay. Next, a participant is asking, can we get copy of today's presentation slides? So on behalf of Bharat and Sana, let me tell you, sir, we just mentioned that this video will also be uploaded in 3 4 days from now. So you can keep referring through the videos where the slide definitely will be present as you are able to see right now also. So there won't be any need to share the copy of presentation per se. Next is Mr. Swapnil is asking, is it possible to create a group ID for view terminals which can be used by multiple users at the same time?
No, unfortunately, that is not the case. So, if Bharat Gandhi is being allotted a view terminal, it has to be reported in the name of Bharat Gandhi, and only Bharat Gandhi should be accessing it. If Sanaya requires a view only terminal, a separate terminal has to be reported for Sana. They cannot be a common ID.
Okay. Next question is a specific case which probably a member has experienced and he wants clarity on that. He's asking when they modify the CTCL ID, that time the allotment date is showing the old name allotted.
The allotment date is always going to be the original allotment date. It cannot change, but there would be a modification date, which is going to be the subsequent day of the request. So
Mhm.
that is how it is tracked here.
Probably he's saying the allotment date is showing an old name allotted. So, I mean,
Old
probably it is
name, I
not
will
much
need
clear.
to much clear. So in case of CTCL modification, what happens is all the fields are available for editing. The allotment date cannot be changed. The login ID cannot be changed. Whereas the name details can be updated. The certification details can be updated. So whatever details they are updating will get recorded in the modification request. And when you view the active CTCL ID report on the subsequent day, it would show the updated name or the certification details or the office type, whatever fields are being updated.
Still, we would request the particular member in case the details he wanted to ask is something different, they can always write to msm@nsc.co.in, right, Bharat?
Yes.
Okay. Next question is, where can I find NNF details? I have multiple vendors.
Um, didn't get the query correctly, means or what is expected here. If
Probably,
you
even I'm not too sure, but from what he has written, probably he has multiple vendors in his trading ecosystem, and he might be wanting to find the NNF, which is terminal details associated with respective vendors or something like that. I mean,
so
there must be some report that he can find about
so
the
member
CTCL
can
IDs, right?
yeah, so need to CTCL conversion report is there. You have non-need user request report. So in that report, the vendor
Vendor
details are
details are available.
provided what member is selected at the time of submission. So they will need to refer the report which is available.
And that is available over member portal itself. So anytime they can
Member
Mm,
download
portal.
and refer that.
yes.
So it's a request report. So
Okay. As of now, we have the last question. In case members have any other question, definitely we are here for some more seconds by the time we answer the last question. So you can post it. In case of disablement of branch terminals, will the limits be zero?
So branch manager has let's just say branch manager has allotted limits to a particular dealer. Now branch manager certificate is expired. So the branch manager's user ID will get deactivated, but the branch ID in which the dealer is there, like Sana is there, that will not get reset until and unless the branch ID itself is getting updated. So let's just say Sana ID is getting shifted from one IP to another or from one branch
Mhm.
ID to another branch ID. Only then it will get reset to zero.
Okay. Uh, We have another question from Mr. Parashar. So he's just sharing a feedback. NISM is not conducting any program for capital market certification. So why you have mandate for certification for CM on corporate manager and branch manager IDs?
So, this is a very peculiar question. Basically, we would like people with some expertise or experience in terms of capital market knowledge being there. So that is why this has been a requirement has been there since ages. So capital market dealers module or NISM SORM module, those are the valid certifications. So we would like dealers to have some background of the trading
Mhm.
system and trading architecture here. So that is why those have been necessitated. But having said, it is not for dealers, it is for corporate managers and branch managers who are going to oversee the operations of the entire trading, right? So that is where we want some personnel to have some certification there.
Correct. Next is a request. Mr. Kiran Deshmukh is asking if we can arrange a session on the usage of APIs or any specific circular is available towards that.
Uh, Mr. Kiran, if you could be very specific, share with us feedback separately on what areas of APIs you're talking about. Exchange has multiple types of APIs, or are we talking about the recent API circular which has come in SEBI circular for retail algos? Are we talking about that? So if clarity is there, we could then accordingly take a note and come back.
More or less, I believe he is referring to that recent API on retail algos. But anywho, Mr. Deshmukh, if you can just write to particular email ID, or you can try to convey your information or requirement through your through our regional team as well, which is the regional offices and your respected relationship manager. Definitely, he'll be communicating to us as well, and we can do the needful if feasible and possible. Uh, I believe there are no questions left now. Still, members, last request in case somebody is having more queries, we'll be waiting for 15-20 seconds. Otherwise, still anytime further also you have any queries, as we mentioned related to this topic, you can always write to msm@nsc.co.in, or we have a dedicated help desk number also, which definitely all the members have been using. There also you can reach out and raise your query and get the clarity. We'll be happy to help with all your queries where we can provide assistance with. Sure, I guess Bharat and Sana, there are no further queries, so we can just call it an end for today's session. I believe what we wanted to cover, we tried to cover it as much effectively as possible. We will be open for feedback. As you know, we'll keep doing open house sessions, members, and you can just keep suggesting topics as well. We'll be happy to receive those feedbacks and act upon it. On behalf of each and every member, I can thank my colleagues Bharat and Sana for explaining at length in much clearer manner. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of everybody, Bharat and Sana.
Thank you
Thank
all. It
you.
was a pleasure.
Any concluding comments, Bharat, just quickly within couple of sentences, I mean related to user ID request, if you want to just make.
So, user ID being very critical component for members trading and accessibility, advisable that member keep track of validity of the certificates and who is accessing and where they are accessing from. That needs to be clearly reported to the exchange. So, that is what members need to take care. That is what I would like to convey to all.
Thank you. Thank you, members and all the participants for joining today's webinar. Have a great day ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.